To order. All right. Due to the ongoing COVID pandemic, Governor Baker issued an emergency order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Public bodies otherwise governed by the OML are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate alternative means. This meeting will be broadcast live on Channel 8 and on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by following the call-in information on the bottom of the live broadcast screen. For Zoom meeting information relating to remote participation, please contact Cindy Knox, IT Director at cknox@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8252 prior to the meeting. With that, we're open and so we'll review the agenda. Do we have minutes to approve?
No, we do.
I think we do. We'll go through the ongoing COVID concerns, project updates, finance, incidents, soccer, basketball. Is there anything to add?
I have two things to add, if we could. I'd like to discuss Tim Nolan and the skating rink.
Okay, I realize I'm not sharing my screen. Okay. We'll add those to the bottom of the agenda. Let's talk about Tim first, actually. We'll do that. And we can talk about the skating rink when we talk about projects. How's that sound?
Sounds right.
Okay. All right. So we had some really sad news. The park department and really the town of Ayer. And some really sad news this week with the passing of Tim Doc Nolan, who's been a great friend to a lot of people. He's been a great friend specifically to the park. And Jeff, I'll let you say a few words because you've known him the longest.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Jason. I would appreciate that. I have known Tim for a lot of years, over 20. He predates my time in the Parks Department and was already involved with a couple of things when I got involved back in the 90s. And he was at first part of the baseball program, mostly with the older kids, and then moved on to initiate the fundraising for projects around the park, soliciting businesses for signs. So that was his main role that he played with the Parks Department, soliciting businesses and other entities to put some money forward to have their signs at the park, and then maintaining that every year, generating about $8,000 a year in funds that we were able to use for capital projects. So if you look around the park and you see pretty much any fence that's part of any ball field, they've all been rehabbed. They were put there in the 50s, and they all had to come down. And his efforts made all that happen. All the dugouts, batting cages, many other projects, all that stuff was spearheaded by funding and also a lot of initiative from Tim. So he was very selfless. He never looked for credit for any of that stuff. He was a real hero in that sense, because that's what, I've always thought of what defines a hero, not somebody who goes out and tries to do something, get a pat on the back, somebody who actually does things and does it because he knows it's the right thing to do. So he was a great friend to the Parks Department and to the people, and especially the children of Ayer. So he will be greatly missed.
He will be. Just memory I have of him obviously is coming to a lot of our meetings with the famous chocolate chip cookies. But just talking to him in stuff that's not regarding parks business and everything. Just a great guy, just a really friendly person, and he'll be missed by a lot of people, certainly me and the department.
No question.
Does anybody else have any comments on that?
Well, if I could also just interject, I think it would be something within the Parks Department and the Commission's interest to consider trying to find a proper tribute for Tim. I have a couple ideas about those. They don't necessarily have to be discussed tonight with our limited time. But there is one I had in mind that we can get to it a little later on. It's on the agenda. But just some things to think about. I think would be something worth a while to look into.
Sure. You said it's on the agenda already?
One item that I thought might be of interest to the commission to consider. So.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, why don't we talk about it now then?
Okay, so actually, I'm sorry I didn't add that to the, it's on the projects, but one of the items I sent out to be reviewed was a proposal that Sarah had actually originated, something that she'd seen in another community that I thought was a really good idea, and it falls into our family-friendly events, and that is to set up a program during the holiday season for families to be able to get a cutout of either a tree or a snowman, and then decorate that, and then we would put it up along the perimeter path. And I don't know if anyone had a chance to review the proposal. I sent it out today, so that might not really be a great, everyone had a chance to do it, but if you read through it, you'll get kind of a synopsis of what the program, in my mind, had set up to do, and then there were some questions and some thoughts on it. And in terms of Tim, I thought literally just a couple days ago, even though this is something we've been kind of thinking we would do, this might be something that, we could do in memory of Tim too, if we wanted to, but it doesn't have to. We can certainly do other things too, but I just, thought I'd throw that out there. If the commission was looking for something quick, then this is something that we're, if the commission wants to do this, it's something that we can do pretty quickly.
I mean, I think we want to do this for sure. I don't know. What other thoughts did you have? Maybe if you want to send out your other thoughts, we can think of some other things. I don't know.
Yeah, again, it's just one of those things that just kind of came to mind quickly. So I thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want to do this for sure. But I don't know if we have some other more meaningful ways to I don't remember him by.
Yeah, there's certainly plenty to think about.
Yeah.
Field namings and many other things, memorial awards. One thing that's his girlfriend Flossie had called me and mentioned that she wanted me to talk to his sister with the possibility of setting up some kind of scholarship fund that might be through the Parks Department. So not necessarily something that we would sponsor, but something that we might be able to assist with or help with. And that could either be a scholarship fund for students, or it might be a scholarship fund for people trying to get into one of our programs that were in financial needs. So that's something I was going to review with her and see what she had in mind for that. So that's something else.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, we could do it through the Friends of Peroni Fund or something, right? Funnel the money that way.
Absolutely.
If we wanted to do like a monetary scholarship for, whatever, either college or a program or something, and, have some sort of subcommittee to go through the applications. So
I can check with the, just to verify that that's acceptable, but I'm pretty sure it is, only because that money is independently sourced. And it's,
yeah. I mean, the fire department does it, right?
They do something. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but the school definitely does. So in the school, when they do some of their stuff through boosters, that's a good analogy of what we do. And that is not subject to the same municipal finance laws that we're bound to for most of the stuff that we spend money on.
Right. Okay. I do have these photographs of this,
so yeah, if I could,
this program.
If I could elaborate on that for a moment, Jason, if you go back to the original, the undecorated one. So the idea, the proposal would be for us to create these cutouts. So there would be a potential for a family to get either a Christmas tree or a snowman. And we would ask a $20 deposit just to make sure people aren't just, oh, I want to do that and grab one and then don't bring it back and we don't have a full thing. All we really want to do is have a lot of these around the perimeter path and a lot of participation. That's the only real goal here that I think we're trying to get. So with that said, having a $20 deposit goes beyond the cost of these. It takes us a little more than $10, between $10 and $15 to make each one when you add up all the materials and labor that goes into it. It's not that much. So for a $20 deposit, that just covers and makes sure they come back. And then, of course, the idea would be that we would hand these out. And if you can go to the next slide, Jason, pop it to the next one. This is something that some of the parks crew and I just threw together very quickly. Just decorated a couple to give people an idea of what they could do. I'm sure some people could go a lot farther than that, but just, I think that'd be really fun to see these along the perimeter path. Again, this was an idea of Sarah's, and as soon as I heard her say it, I was like, wow, this could really be fun. And of course, during the COVID times that we're living in, we're always looking for something we can do,
right,
activity that's family friendly but still safe and secure. So that would be the idea. The other thing that would go into it is once the season's over, then a family could have an option of either taking their tree or snowman back and keeping it and then bringing it back, decorated again each year, and then not getting the deposit, of course. Or we would give them back their deposit. You would get it, you would clean it off, remove whatever they put on it, repaint it, and then have it ready for the next year. So that's the other labor cost that would go into it. Overall, to make about 50 of these would be a little more than $500, we figure. Something that I would, suggest coming out of the revolving account. And that would be just for this year for the initial setup of these. Then, we'd probably have to do some maintenance and add a few more each year if we're going to keep on doing this. But I think it's a relatively small cost item that can be funded through extra funds that we generate from field fees and everything else in the revolving account.
I thought that we already voted on the funding for this last meeting.
Actually, what we voted on was funding for participation in town events for Halloween.
Oh, right. Okay.
And to follow up on that, we did just a small help with the school. The school was doing something, and we helped by participating, adding something to the pile of things they were giving out to kids that day. So we didn't use hardly any of the money allocated by the board to help the town with that Halloween thing, because it really wasn't a big Halloween project by the town put forward. They decided to just allow the school to do their thing and stay with that.
Okay. So then we need a motion to approve the spending for this project, for this event, or
yes.
Alternate.
Also, I wouldn't mind hearing if commissioners have any thoughts on this and ideas. It would certainly be worth hearing people's discussion on it. One thing that when Sarah and I first talked about it, we talked about it maybe being a contest for to do, and for me, I'd almost prefer not to do. Not almost, I would prefer not to do that. It's kind of hard that first year of just trying to make it work, and then having to work on the actual winner and dealing with the competition aspect of things, and somebody screaming, "Well, why isn't this fair?" and I want to recount, and the ballot machines don't work right, and whatever you want to say. I would prefer not to, just for that reason, but that doesn't mean we can't. I think if the commission wants to, we could certainly set up something as a contest to do it as well.
I don't like the idea of making it a contest. What about everybody else?
I'd actually like to piggyback on these, Jeff, and try to finally incorporate that story walk down there in between them. So I spoke to both the Ayer librarian and the Shirley librarian to get info on how to do a story walk. So I'd love to get Justin. The librarian in Ayer has given us some books to use for it. So we would just need to purchase the signs to put them on down there, which are $4 a sign, and find like a winter story or Christmas story to go along with it. And then the library and Ayer would kind of piggyback on what we choose for a book, and their children's craft would coincide with what we do.
So would these go, when the trees go down, those go up, or go up at the same time as the tree?
We could kind of do either, whatever works for you guys. It's just the little, what I call them political signs, if you will, the metal stake signs.
Oh, so they stand independently. You don't actually use
Correct.
them on
Yep.
the stake.
Yep. So
Oh,
you could, you know, put it, you know, space them out in between the snowmen and the trees down there.
oh, yeah,
So that as you're walking, you know, families that have younger kids could read a story as well.
I'm not sure if all of the commissioners coming in were familiar with that concept, because this, I believe, was discussed before the election. I don't think we've gone over it since then, so you may want to just go over it again, explain that to the rest of the commission.
Sure. So a story walk is basically taking a book and literally tearing it apart page by page, and you take each page or two pages together and you put them on those you know, stakes that you see, and you glue it together and stick it in the ground, and they're spaced like 30 to 40, you know, feet apart. So as you're walking along the path, you end up reading a story to your child.
So that would,
That's something that we could do. You know, we could do a holiday or a winter type theme during this, but we could do this sort of year round. Come up with a spring theme, a summer
Correct.
theme, or
Yep,
you
and
know,
the
what
book-
have you.
Right. And my ultimate goal would to be have a Eagle Scout make a more permanent stand for the books, that you wouldn't have to constantly remake every time you want to change the story. So you would just open it up and slide the picture in through the plexiglass, if you will. But in the meantime, you know, the cost, you know, if you find a smaller book that's only, you know, 10 or 15 pages, you're spending $4 a page to put them out there is not a horrible thing. But I agree, Jason, they could be changed seasonally or however often you wanted.
Do you have to pay for the rights to the book?
You do not, as long as you're not charging. There's a story walk copyright paper that you print and post with your book. So as long as there's no charge to walk on your path to read the story, then as long as you've posted the copyright information, you're all set. I did look into that.
Do you have any idea of the cost for this winter?
I mean, I would
Or
guess.
like a not to exceed? I think we should do these separately. So we have the snowmen and the trees. That's a separate spend, not to exceed. That's a separate motion. I like this idea, but I think if you can ballpark it, even if we shoot high,
Yep.
like that'd be a second motion too. Just so we can kind of keep it separately. Is that?
Yep.
I like it. I like the idea.
yeah, I mean, it's probably not going to exceed $150 for the first book, just because, I mean, that would be 30 pages. So
Right.
it's
Correct.
not- yeah.
Right.
So if you were to set up something for $150, I think that would cover one book. And if Sarah, if you wanted to kind of go for two, just to have two ready, then
Yeah.
then you know, I'd say, you know, probably shoot for 200, 250.
Right. Okay.
Is there any other questions about this program? The trees and Christmas trees and snowmen?
No, I think it's a great idea. It's very interactive, gets people using the park for the right way as a family, keeps the kids' attention. I've done one this past summer on a hike up in Vermont, and the kids loved it, you know? So I think it's a great idea, Sarah.
Does anyone have, oh, go ahead, Jason, sorry.
No, I just wanted to agree. I mean, it seems like there's been so much work done down at the park that and if we can, advertise it and say that things have been done, but if we have a draw like this, it'll get people down there and it'll showcase the walk around the park and give people a real reason to go down there and see all the great work and the projects that have been done and what a resource we have in the town. So I think they're both fantastic ideas.
Okay. Scott, you got anything to add?
No, I got nothing.
Okay. So, all right, so we'll take two motions. Go ahead.
Now go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say, so let's start with the motion for the trees and snowmen. I think, Jeff, what did you say? $500 is the not to exceed there?
Not to
Or
exceed
do you need
six.
some cushion?
Just to be like, I estimated about 5. So if not to exceed 6, we'd be sure we'd cover it. Also, that way, if we wanted to make a few more trees, if we got a lot of demand for this, we'd still be able to.
Okay. We'll take a motion on that.
So I motion that we appropriate funds not exceeding $600 for the snowman and Christmas tree project.
And I would suggest that being out of the revolving account.
Out of the revolving account.
So motion's
I'll
made
second
by
that.
Jason Leone,
I second that motion.
Scott Copeland, and Jerry
Hmm.
meant to second. So we'll take a roll call vote. Jerry,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Jason Leone,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
and I'm also aye. Okay. So then we'll have a second motion to talk about the story. Sarah, do you want to make that motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we spend up to $200 to create a winter story walk and possibly a second, if funds allow, for the walking path at Peroni Park.
I second.
That's Jerry, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion's made by Sarah, seconded by Jerry. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Jerry?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
And I am also aye. Okay, it's good. I think it'll be some good programs. So hopefully draw some people down there. So as far as Tim Nolan, just to wrap that up, Jeff, if you want to, maybe you and I can talk offline about that, about some ideas, because I had some thoughts too on how we can do that. So, and then maybe by next meeting or into the spring, we can kind of do that. And if you talk to his sister about the scholarship fund, that'd be good.
Yeah, that'll take an hour itself just to have that conversation. So can't have it.
Yeah, right. Okay, so let's go with COVID concerns. Do we still have any? It went away, right? The election's over.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Please.
So we have, as everyone is aware, there's been a heightened concern with COVID-19, and that has worked its way down to town government and the Parks Department. So some of the new protocols in place are what the governor sent out, basically that, I think it's Order 50, I don't recall what it's called, but it basically says that people are supposed to wear masks at all times, indoors and outdoors, with very rare exceptions, obviously medical and things like that. So we've been directed by the town manager, not just the Parks Department, but all departments and all employees of the town, to be sure to wear masks while we're outside doing anything except at our desks. That's the one time that we're supposed to don't need to adhere to that. We're obviously eating or other situations. So we're working with our employees to make sure that they're being adherent to that. The town itself is not actively enforcing this with citizens. It's not something that I think many small towns are doing. So it's more something that we're doing as a department to set an example. So I just want to make sure the commission was aware that we were adhering to the governor's order through our department on that. We were also requested by the town manager to put up some new signage about that outdoor use. This was specifically brought about with the completion of one of our projects we're going to get to in a minute. It's one of the Gaga pits was built, and I sent out an email with his concerns from a citizen about that. And since that time, we have put up some signage basically saying that masks are required to be worn during outdoor activities at municipal settings. So those are in place as well. So concluding that, all the buildings in town, including the new Parks building, are still officially closed to the public, and so we do not allow entry to the public into our building. Obviously commissioners can come in, but aside from that, we really can't have any other use of the building except for Parks Department personnel and employees. So that's as of now, and there is no end in sight for that coming from the selectman's office. They're hoping maybe to open town hall by mid-spring next year is their projection, but they don't know. Nobody really knows at this point.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. And this kind of going to segue, I guess, into the skating rink, right? I imagine that we'll talk about this in a second, but the mask, we'll make sure that there's a sign up, a mask sign up for that. But you want to talk about the skating rink?
Sure. So for commissioners who are not familiar with the skating rink that we have erected from time to time over the last 15 years, this is a picture of what it's like. This is the current skating rink. We just put this up, and it's a typical system. The company we use is, I think, the same one that Sarah's family uses. It's called Nice Rink, and it's not too hard to do, but it can be kind of a pain. We caught it just in time before the ground froze to get our stakes in. So that's the big thing. We have to just set this part of it up before the ground freezes too much, and then we're going to wait a little bit before we put the liner and water into it. The commission did approve funding to buy a new liner for this at the last meeting, so we'll be getting that relatively soon. But we'll wait till it gets a little closer to being freezing temperatures, because what we find, and we found over the years, is the liner gets sabotaged and vandalized. And if it gets a rip in it, it's like a pool liner. It won't hold water, and then we're sunk, literally. So we'll hold off on that, but we expect to have this up by by Christmas anyway, for sure. And the current dimensions are 45 by 70, which is basically like a small basketball court. Not giant. And I think in future years, if we like this location, and it looks like we're going to continue to get winters that we can actually have things freeze, we could expand on this. So this is kind of an experimental year, but it's I thought it was important for us to put it up just to see how it would go.
I think it looks great. Should we consider getting like cheapy little hockey nets?
We could look into it. I know,
Sarah, what do you think? You're a hockey family.
I think the kids would love that.
I agree.
Yeah, some commissions in the past had some concern about if you did have that, then it might turn into a young families that just want to skate would have trouble with it. And I did some research. There was some issues with that sometimes, but we found over the years that that's pretty much the only people who really want to use it is to do that. If we had a more technical rink and it was really expensive and well kept, Then I would suggest having what's called stick time, where you would have it, certain hours where, people could come out and play hockey and bring their sticks and pucks and whatever. And then other times that you were forbidden for doing that. But we didn't ever regulate it in the past, and I wouldn't recommend doing it going forward.
Do we need to consider a limit on the number of people on the ice at a time?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer. I could ask for an answer, but then we would get one.
Right.
So.
Right. I mean, the masks are required. I think we just have to rely on people to space themselves out. And if we go down there on a weekend and there's 100 people on there, then maybe we got to thin it out. But that's something that we should wait and see on.
Just based on use in previous years, we never had more than 10 people on the rink at a time. I mean, that would be a rarity. So I think that it would have to fall within lines of the actual statutes that are laid out by the governor for Sarah, maybe you could cite this from the soccer, but I think it was 25 at a time.
Correct. Yeah.
So I think that, if we start reaching that, then we could, institute signage very quickly to state that's the limitation. But I don't think that's something we need to be too concerned about.
Because that limitation would be the limitation anyway, right? Like by order of the governor?
Yes.
Even without our signs. So.
Exactly.
Okay, moving on. What do you want to talk about next, Jeff?
Well, if we're on projects, I did want to go over just some of the quickly some of the stuff that's been happening. We've had quite a bit. We've had 4 Eagle Scouts that have had projects sort of sitting on the burner for almost a year now, and they're all coming to fruition. They are all running out of time, frankly. The Gaga pit that was just built down at the beach, hopefully people have had a chance to look at it. It's got a lot of good reviews. That was completed by Graham Wall. I'm going to invite him to come to one of the upcoming meetings so the commission can properly thank him for that. So I'll be reaching out to him for that very soon. We have another Eagle Scout, Dawson Testa, who is going to be building another Gaga pit down here at the park. He's going to be doing that sometime probably this weekend, starting it, because he's got to get his done as well. On that subject, there still was a question about the best place to place that. There's been, some going back and forth. Sarah and I both kind of like the idea of it being down by the camping area, but Dawson was concerned about the ball possibly going in the water being down there. So, it's his project. We really don't want to make him do it a place he doesn't want to do it. But at the same time, a place he kind of liked that I thought was tight, but he thinks he can fit it in there is right behind the first base dugout on field 2 on the other side of the perimeter path. It's a small little triangle of an area. So it wouldn't be intruding on any other area to put it there. So that, that's where he thinks he'd like to put it. Another place that we could put it is not right in front of the bathrooms, but more in front of the batting cages, but well out of play from both the soccer field and softball field. My only concern with it being there is that the balls do spray out of the Gaga pit. And if they were playing during a softball game or even a soccer game, then that ball could come out into play. So that might be an issue, but I think if that was, then we could just tell people to stop playing during the game. So that could be a thing. So if commissioners had thoughts on where they might like to have it, that might be something to weigh in on. Another area that you could put it is down by the basketball courts, but we had some concern of how much activity it would get down there because it doesn't draw as many people in that area.
Yeah, it's probably not good to put it down there. Sounds to me like behind the dugout on field 1 seems to be the best place, but I trust you, Jeff, to be able to make that decision with the scout. I don't know what anybody else thinks about it.
How far away from the water would it be?
down by, if you're familiar with what I'm talking about, Jason, as the hill goes down from the softball field into that camping area and picnic area.
Oh, over there.
Yes,
Oh,
Yeah.
by field. Okay.
yes. So it's
That'd
not
be decently protected. Like it would have to go through some trees and stuff to get to the water.
it's pretty cleared out, actually. We cleared that almost all out. So it would have a pretty clear path, and it would be rolling downhill. I mean, a ball would eventually go in the water. I mean, there's no question about that. So it is kind of a concern. I mean, you could also put up a little fence there too. If that really was the thing. In fact, we probably want to put up a fence there at some point just to keep geese out.
Yeah.
But,
Because I think you have parking lot concerns on the other side. Because I think when you said like where to put it, my first kind of inclination was as you enter on the left at the base of the hill, coming down towards the soccer fields. But as soon as you said the ball going out, like I think behind the up there or even behind the concession stand, the ball will fly out into the parking lot, which might be a bigger hazard than it going into the water. I mean, I don't know, you want kids running out after a ball. I'd rather them have to deal with it in the water than out in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's definitely not a benefit, and we're finding that to be the case at the beach, to the point that we may have to move the one at the beach, which we can do. That's the other thing about these pits. Neither one are going to be built so they're anchored into the ground. They can be picked up. You know, you probably want like 6 to 8 guys to do it, but once you do, you can move them pretty easily anywhere you want to. So it's not like these things can't be moved. That's the other thing. And the one at the beach, you know, we may want to end up moving that one over to the other side of the beach house. What I would suggest is if I could work with Sarah on this one to come up with a final placement for it, as Sarah has a connection with that troop. And if the two of us can come up with a final thing, I think we'd appreciate that from the commission.
Works for me.
Yeah, good with that.
Good.
Okay. And then the other two projects, Eagle Scout projects, are little free libraries. I think we've gone over what those are. So they're a long time coming, I think. They're great. Terrible right now with COVID, but they're great in general. So one is being made by Molly Schneider. If you've been down the beach recently, you might have noticed a couple holes sunk in the ground. So we put those in for her to help her out. And so she's built the cabinet. We're going to erect that on Saturday morning and get that up, just to have it up so that she can get it done by her date, because she has a certain date she has to have it done by. Then it's probably going to come right back down with the idea that this is going to come down seasonally anyway to keep it fresher longer. So these are going to come off when the weather gets bad and stored, and then come back up in the spring. So they'll just get it up, get a picture in it. We can't even really put books in it at this point because of COVID. So it's not really something we can even use, but it was more something to have up just to have it. The other Eagle Scout candidate is Jordan Higgins. He's a neighbor of the parks, and he's making a different type, but that's going to be put near the bench along the perimeter path right behind field 5. So we're going to put a post in for him to do that. And again, his is not going to be activated until the spring or possibly later if COVID doesn't allow us to do it then. And then we'll be taking those up and down every winter. So that's it for the Eagle Scout projects. We're also doing a lot of field rehab right now, including the high school field. We're working on that right now to help them out a little bit as part of our field use agreement that we have with them, facility use agreement. Even though we're not going to be using their facilities likely for basketball, we'll talk about that later. We still feel it's a good partnership move for us to continue to help them out with the idea that they will be able to have a baseball season this spring. So we're going to want to help them out with that. I'd also sent pictures. I don't think I sent one to Jason today, but I sent pictures out to the commission before that the Field 6 backstop is complete. And that is a real, that was a biggie. And that was the last one that we had to do. And that was something that Tim Nolan worked really hard on. So, you know, it's kind of fitting that was the last thing he was able to do, is get that one big backstop done. So we're really happy get that done. And for the final things, we're doing winterization for all of our buildings and the irrigation system. The last step of that will be tomorrow to have all of our bathrooms winterized. So that'll be great.
So maybe the play is named Field 6 for Tim Nolan Memorial Field, or Timothy Doc Nolan Memorial Field.
I would not object.
So, or the one next to his house, I don't know. Okay. Any other projects?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Like I said, we've been busy. But the one saving grace of this COVID period is we've been able to get a lot of stuff done.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you got anything for the budget or capital planning?
Yes, and I'd like to just go over that pretty quickly. For capital planning, we briefly discussed this at the last meeting, just that the directive from the town manager's office and from the selectmen with the town budget in a bit of a crisis for the upcoming fiscal year. And let's be clear, the fiscal year starts next July. So the funding for that is going to be way different than usual. A lot of the funding the town receives is extra funding we get from the state and also from the federal government. And those sources are going to be limited because of other expenses that are going on, low taxes, things like that are going to be hampering the budget in general. So the request came in for us to limit or possibly not do any capital projects for this fiscal year coming up. So after discussing it with the chairman, they wanted something put forward. So the commission can certainly take a look at this and we can resubmit it. But if you can put it up, Jason, if you have it, our 5-year capital plan was basically bumped from what we had projected 1 year up. So we had not set anything up. I'll wait for Jason to put this up. Well,
Oh, yeah, I have it, Jeff.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
I got the agenda, the rink snowman, Tim
All right.
tree snowman proposal, and feasibility criteria.
All right. My bad. So all
That's okay.
commissioners are probably aware, we've gone over this before, that we have a 5-year plan for capital plan and a 10-year overall plan. So I presented you all with what we had for our 5-year plan, counting projects that we just did. And we hadn't set anything up for, I believe it would be fiscal year 2026. So we hadn't set anything up for that. And this meeting generally would be the meeting that the commission would go over the things we'd want to do then. And the thing that was supposed to be for this upcoming year was going to be remediation of the Kitty Junction playground and seeking funds to do that. So with the directive from the town manager's office and just trying to be fiscally responsible, what I'd suggested, and I believe Jason approved, was to bump everything forward. So everything that we'd set up for each year for the next 5 years, just bump it forward 1 more year and not have any capital requests into this particular fiscal year. With all that we've been able to get over the last couple of years, including our new building, new truck, new trailer, a number of other things that we've really had to get, I think that it would be in the Parks Department's best interest to recognize the fiscal restraints that the town might be under and not make any capital requests this year.
Yeah. So if it was something that it was like a $10,000, so for this fiscal year, our capital item was the truck, but we also had the study, the remediation study, right?
Yes.
To do the study for the remediation of Kitty Junction. So if it was something small, we may have considered keeping it or not. But it was a really big ticket item that we were looking for to get that remediated and replaced. And there's just nothing else that we really needed to bump up. We have some smaller priced items for the future, but we don't really need anything at this point. I mean, we got the building, we got the pass, we got the truck. We really had those things were huge needs for us that got fulfilled in the last few fiscal years. So we were in good shape for any capital items. That's kind of why we, that's another reason why we just bumped it.
Yeah, I think it's in our best interest to do it. I really do. But again, it's the Parks Commission's decision, and certainly something worth discussing. And it's not too late if you didn't want to put something in.
Yeah. So if anybody has any thoughts, or if you want to revisit it, Jeff, maybe you can, pull it up if anybody wants to revisit it and go over it again. But
So how big of an item are we talking that for the capital planning?
How big of an item and for what?
So like if we wanted, when I've been talking with some people about possibly like if we could do like lane lines or something at Sandy Pond for a possible swim team or something like that. Like, is that a capital item, or is that something that we bring up?
Absolutely. The anything that we can't pay for within our budget, existing budget, would be something that you would have to. There's two ways of doing it. You can do a capital expense that you can do for a one-time capital expense to add to your budget. So you could say that we're going to talk about our budget for the upcoming fiscal year in just a minute. But you could have a line item added just for that, but that cannot exceed $10,000. So anything over $10,000, you would want to present to the capital planning committee, who would then have to endorse it, and then the selectmen would have to endorse it, and then it would go to town meeting to be approved. So that's how the procedure for that stuff would go. Yeah, because I mean, I'm in agreement. I'm very much in agreement with what you guys are saying. I was just curious as like to if saying this, we just kind of halt projects, but if it's a project that's under $10,000, that could possibly still get done. Well, you'd want to budget requests for the fiscal year have to be in by I think it's in 2 weeks they have to be submitted. Okay. So if that's something that wants to be done, then that's something that would have to get on. We'd have to get on that pretty quickly. Okay. Within that. Yeah, but it was a passing thought, but it seemed interesting. So I mean, I can definitely look in more and discuss further. But if it doesn't, I agree that it seems like a pretty lean time. So to going out with big asks seems like this isn't really the time to do that. Yeah,
it's going to be a tough fiscal year because we're not, the state and the town aren't going to feel the effects of COVID fiscally until next year, because it's going to be the lack of revenue, but it's also going to be all these additional costs to help people out and get these vaccines rolled out, and whatever other tax breaks or whatever other programs that the government's going to put in place to stimulate the economy and everything. It's going to be a hard time for maybe the next couple of years, but at least in fiscal year 2022, there's going to be little. I'm imagining they're going to ask us to level fund, Jeff. I'd be surprised.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Which I'll talk about in a minute why we probably can't, but anyway. Yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention when I said projects completed too is the dock system. That was a big capital project that we got done in the last couple of years.
Yes.
So I mean, Jason, I don't, and everybody, I don't want to stifle anybody if you have thoughts about wanting to spend money and improve things. It's just we've got to be considerate of that. If it's not something that's in high demand, or if it's not something that maybe we can generate revenue off of, it's going to be tough for at least a year.
Oh, completely understand. It was more of a procedural question, like as to what comes out of where. So that was answered too. So thank you.
Yeah. Now, if it's just a matter of setting up some ropes and buoys and doing it that way, That's something that, possibly could be taken out of the revolving account, which has generated funds from swim lessons over the years. So depending on the cost of that, that's something that could be looked into as another thing that could be done. But again, it really would depend on how much it costs. So if you and I can talk about that offline and get some ideas of what the cost on that is, then we can, even see if there is some feasibility for sooner than later on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even have the idea of it seemed cool, but I don't even know if I have a vision of what it would look like. So, I mean, but I would love to talk about it more. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, lots of steps. Obviously, we want to talk to the waterfront director on that and get a swim instructor director on that. So get everyone involved to get a good idea of the best way to do something like that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We lost Jeff's video, hopefully not his audio. You said we do have budget stuff to talk about, Jeff?
Yes. So if you have the other budget line item to put up there.
I don't.
I sent that. I didn't send that either? You're kidding.
Nope. Unless you sent it with the agenda.
I think I just sent you. I did send you the other one just a second ago. Oh, brother.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. These are the requests. No, I don't have the budget.
Right. Well, I'll just send it to you really quick and just discuss it briefly because we don't have to spend too much time on this. But it's
right.
something that does have to get through.
Yeah. So while he sends that, this is the capital plan. You can see the $350,000 price tag is probably going to be low. Actually, that was what we were asking for initially this year. Now we do this every year. We look at this every year, like Jeff said, around this time. So we shuffle these things. Sometimes we add, sometimes we remove. They ask for 5 years, but that doesn't mean if we put in here $300,000 in 26, we're going to do this definitely. Like we can bump it up, we can remove it, we can, another high priority item might come up before then. So it's just so they can kind of get an idea of what we might be asking for in the future.
So as for the actual budget, the annual budget that we're going to be putting in for fiscal year 2022, the Selectman's office has already asked us to level fund, which basically means put in for the same amount of money we put in for the previous year or less if we can. So this is kind of complicated to look at, but after a while you can kind of digest it. The budget for this fiscal year is $1,666 and change. So that had a few things built into it from the previous year with the idea that we were going to have extra expenses for wages that go up every year, but also for the services for the new building. And it turns out the services for the new building, we have a lot that we didn't anticipate. For example, when we were at Town Hall, we didn't have any communication costs at all. We were all done through the Town Hall. It was all just paid for somehow. Now with the new building, the IT director has us set up with a contract with Comcast. So she negotiated that as best she could, and she got it down to a level that's basically going to end up costing about $1,500 a year. So that is, a service we're going to have that we did not expect. I don't have any idea what the heating expenses are going to be yet. We haven't even got a bill for that, so it's hard for me to project. But I would anticipate that also being a utility that's going to be upwards about $2,000 or $3,000 per year with the HVAC. And electricity is going to be a little bit. So just overall, if you looked at these numbers, where it says other charges and expenses, there's $3,000. That's one of those one-time items I was speaking to you before about, Jason Leone, that we put in there just for this upcoming year with the idea that we wanted $3,000 for that we weren't sure what we might need for. Doesn't mean we have to spend it. And then for the services line, you can see on here, we put it for $12,000 for this particular year, which was quite a bit higher than we had for any previous year. again, with the understanding we probably have a need for more services. So for this
I
upcoming,
mean,
what's that?
it's about 25% higher than fiscal year 2020, but
Yeah, it might be even more. So what I'm going to project for the upcoming year is another possibly $300 or $3,000 more to get the services up to $15,000 and remove the other expenses. But I'm going to give a little more analysis to what we have and what projects we might have. Like some of the other services that I did not anticipate, the town requires us to have a fire monitoring system that we have to have. It costs over $1,000 a year. A service contract for HVAC they require us to have that's almost $1,000 a year. So these are expenses that we did not anticipate. So
yeah, is that going to go under buildings and grounds upkeep?
probably yes. So or services. In any case, I would anticipate we're probably going to need another $5,000 from what we have listed here. But we already had $3,000 extra, so probably another $2,000 in services is what I'd anticipate.
We're going to save a little bit of money with assistant wages, right? Because we're going to
That we're going to
our
spend?
two highest paid.
Well,
Well, no, we're gonna. Well, yeah. I mean, we're not gonna. We probably will be short staffed a little bit in the springtime, but I mean, even if we're going back, well, we didn't definitely from. So the fiscal year is July 1 through June 30, right? So definitely during the summer we didn't use as many. So we're gonna come in under budget there. But I'm just talking about the budget in general should be lower because we're going to be losing. Our two highest paid assistants are going to be gone.
True. But we actually are doing a lot more work these days. So that's been kind of lagging anyway. But yes, the big one we're going to be having for this particular year is you can see the actuals for this fiscal year is $5,000 for lifeguards as opposed to what the budget calls for. So we have, almost $40,000 we haven't spent on lifeguard wages. So, I mean, that alone is going to make our budget for this particular year. We're not going to spend that much, which is, I think we can present to the town as being fiscally responsible for a number of reasons.
Well,
Anyway.
I can also see them. Saying, "Wait a minute! You didn't open the beach. Why do we have $5,000 in lifeguard wages?" But we all know why. I'm just saying we just got to be prepared with.
That's actually quite low, and I can certainly explain that pretty well why that's quite a low figure for what we actually got out of this year.
And that's going to increase, we hope, if we can open the beach at the end of May. So we'll have the Memorial Day weekend and a handful of weekends in time before the end of the fiscal year, before the end of June. We can hopefully get some hours in there, but it's still going to be way under budget for that.
So anyway, I'll be submitting this with the idea of probably going $3,000 over the current budget, but I just wanted to make sure the commission was on board with it. It doesn't have to be approved. This has generally been something I've worked with the chairman on to submit, but if anybody has any input, this would be a good time to have it.
All right, we just got to make sure we comment. We put these comments in here. Use this comment column, Jeff.
Yeah.
To explain some of this stuff.
Unfortunately, that's pretty brief, but we always put in a couple things to go with. Yes.
Yep. And just in case, Jason, Jerry, Scott, you guys are new. These programs used to be part of the park department, but when they split off and went private, the town continued to sort of offer a subsidy for these. They're technically part of our budget. Before, the commission used to have to review bills and approve it, but not anymore. We just send it directly to the town accountant. We send them copies of invoices that we paid, and they reimburse us. And same thing with the football side. Little League is AYBS, and Air Shirley football is whatever they are now, the former Broncos. In case you were wondering what those are.
Yeah, at least.
All right, we got a minute left. What's that, Jeff? Sorry.
they used to have that listed as Pop Warner. At least they uploaded from that. So
That's good. All right, we got a minute left. Let's hit these last two real quick. And there was no incidents, right?
no, nothing I need to report now.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
do
Can we
basketball.
hit
I'll
these
do
two real
basketball.
quick?
I'll do basketball really fast. We met last as a board this last month. We're still going to continue to meet as a board here shortly to go over what we can do. As of now, it looks like the season is not going to happen. We're going to keep on preparing for it just in case. We're going to keep on meeting. If we can't do anything, we're going to at least work on the constitution for the league, league policies, and league rules.
Great. What about soccer?
Soccer has ended for both programs. The U6, U8 kids ended 2 weeks ago, which I think was a great season. And thanks to Jerry for being the on-site guy there every week.
Gary,
And the older kids ended this past Saturday. Again, no Neshoba Valley League, just in-town rec league, which a lot of parents really loved because kids who typically don't play soccer participated, which was great.
Great. What about have they made a decision on the spring soccer?
No, Neshoba Valley's made no decisions. So I will wait for the younger kids and just kind of piggyback and see what they do. Wait it out a little longer. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So Jeff, we'll shoot for the week of December 14th. Does this time work for everybody? Do you prefer the later time? Or do you prefer the earlier time?
It works for me, Jason. 7 o'clock. Yeah.
I can do these. 7 o'clock works.
Okay.
Jason, can I ask you one last thing real quick that's not on the agenda? Hoping like we did that virtual egg hunt to kind of do a yard decorating Christmas light thing and just take a list of addresses and post on Facebook so families could drive around on a random December night and look at Christmas lights, just kind of knowing where to go if
Nice.
that works.
Yeah. That sounds cool.
Okay.
That one house on Main Street before you get to the Rotary is pretty. Make sure that address is on there.
Yes, with
Yeah, do
the
that.
radio station, yes.
All right. Scott, this time work for you, 7 o'clock?
Yeah, anytime.
All right. Very good. I appreciate it. So Jeff, the week of the 14th would be the third, the 17th obviously is the third Thursday.
okay,
Sometime thereabouts, wherever we can fit in.
I'll talk to Carl tomorrow.
All right. We owe APAC 2 minutes. But we'll take a motion to adjourn and call it an evening.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.